Hey there, let's talk about the fabric that you'll need for the Quilty Chicks quilt. The fabric requirements are all in the pattern. This is fat quarter and fat eighth friendly. Each set of chickens, you just need a fat quarter for, so it makes it really easy to choose and pick out fabric. There is enough background fabric for squaring up multiple times and for making a few mistakes. But if you want to be safe, you might want to round up to 5 yards. That would give you more than enough. So the next thing you're going to need is fabric for your chicken bodies. I'm going to flip over to my cutting mat and give you some examples of what you could use and what to look for when you are choosing fabric for your chickens. All right, let's talk about a few options for background fabric. I suggest something light, something white or cream, with a small non-directional print. You want your chickens to really pop and stand out against your fabric. So, and your fabric's going to be going all sorts of different ways, so you don't want something that has an up or a down. All of these would work great. Batiks would also work. Just something light that can literally blend into the background. You're going to need 7 different fat quarters for your chicken bodies. There's a lot of different things you could choose for this. These also you're going to want to have small scale non-directional prints for, so that the quilt blocks that are on them can really pop, and we'll talk more about that later. You can go fairly realistic in quotes if you want for these chickens, and use kind of taupes and grays. This would be a brown that I probably wouldn't use because it does have a larger print, but you could also, like I did, add in maybe some more blues, blue greens. All of these would be great options. So this is more personal preference for what colors you want your chickens. After you choose the 7 colors that you want for your chicken bodies, then it's time to look for contrasting fabric to use as the interior quilt blocks. All of my chickens used these types of tones, these very cool blues, greens, grays, and I decided to use fabric that both contrasted in value, relative light or darkness, but also I chose warm fabrics for most of them to contrast with the cool. I had oranges and yellows, reds. There's lots of different options. And what you're looking for are 2 fabrics that stand out from each other. You don't want them blending or mushing together. For example, I probably wouldn't put these together. While there's a difference in value and a definite difference in color, the dots, I don't like how they're both dotty, and I feel like the dots could make them mush a little bit. And this is really this is really picky overthinking, okay? So don't, like, if you don't want to overthink this, don't. Like, you'll be fine. I would probably put this orange with this blue. For this, I might put this yellow together. It's different in value and it's almost solid and really pops with that. This gray, I could put this red with it. Like, you can definitely see the color difference, but the value, the lighter darkness, is a little too close for my liking. I might instead put this pink with it, or maybe even this lighter pink would definitely stand out. But again, I probably wouldn't put these 2 together because the value, the light and darkness, is too similar. Also note that on 2 of the blocks, I believe it's chickens 2 and 7, they need almost exactly a quarter yard. There's not a lot of room for mistakes. So if you have like a half yard, a third of yard of one of these fabrics, save it for chickens 2 and 7. And once you decide which fabrics you want to use with each block, I would just stick them together and maybe even label them. I want to use this for chicken 1, so that when you come back later, you will know, you won't have to think about it all over again each month, every month. Let's talk about fabric for beaks and combs and wattles. For both of these, we're dealing with really small pieces. We're going to be making 1-inch half square triangles out of these. So we don't want anything that's a large like that, because I mean, you could get almost all pink in that half square triangle maybe, and you want it to be red. Any of these would work well for combs. They're all very small scale prints and I'll read as red. This one could work, but I would not. All right, for the beaks and legs, I chose something about this color and I kind of regret it. It is about the same tone as the red, and it blends in. Like the wattles that are under the beaks, they kind of, when you look at the quilt, it kind of looks like 2 beaks because they're very similar in color. So I would not use any of these 3 because they are too close to the reds, and I want you to be able to see a distinct difference. This one is too yellow. I think this one is what I would use if I was going to go back. It's small scale, it gives a little bit of texture and would really pop out. This fabric will also be used for the chick wings, so you'll just want to like double check that it looks good with your chick fabric. Speaking of chick fabric, it's going to be yellow, and you're going to want something, again, small scale. This would work, this would work, this would work. These I probably wouldn't do. This one I just feels a little too light, and I'd really want it to pop off from the background. And this has maybe a little bit too much white in these, so it wouldn't give a really crisp edge to the chick. This is what I'd probably go to. But again, this is all personal preference. You can do whatever you like, and I want you to choose fabric that you love. You're going to love to work with, you're going to love to look at for a long time. All right, now that we've chosen fabric for our chick, we're going to need fabric for our flower stems. You just need a fat quarter of this for all of the stems and all of the leaves. And so I did use just one fabric, but I kind of like the idea of using maybe one darker fabric for the stem, cutting all the stems out of this, and then from scraps or little bits of green, cutting a variety of leaf colors. But again, you can cut, and the pattern gives instructions for cutting all the leaves and all of the stems from one fat quarter of fabric, and any of these would work well. This one might be a little too busy, might go with one of those. Each flower head uses 2 fabrics. For every flower head except for the sunflower, which uses sunflower yellow and brown, I've used 2 colors in the same color but different values, a dark and a light of each of them. You can use the same colors that I used in the cover quilt, or you can use different colors of your choice that go well with your chickens and your all over design. Just make sure that there's a difference in value and that the prints are small enough that they don't bleed into each other. And you don't have to use a dark and a light of the same color if you don't want. Like, absolutely not. You could put these, ooh, that actually looks really good. You could put those together. You could put these together. You know what? There's lots of different options. Those might be too light. Lots of different options. Play around with it. Have fun. Thanks again for joining me. Let me know if you have any questions about fabric in the comments. Feel free to make this your own, okay? Don't feel like you have to do what I'm doing. You do you. You pick out your favorite colors. Pick out fabrics that spark joy and that you're going to love to work with. The next video will be all about cutting and getting things prepped to start sewing.